Today we will analyze the operational structure of the Metro Codes and Building Safety Department in Nashville. Currently, the Metro Codes Administration employs 99 people. Its operating expenses yearly are approximately $8 million, while it generates nearly $11 million in revenue. Because the scope of the Metro Codes Administration operation is so broad and encompassing, 7 separate city boards are required to maintain, interpret, and oversee the regulations and ordinances set out in the Metro Charter. They are the Board of Fire and Building Codes, the Appeals Board of Electrical Examiners, the Appeals Board of Mechanical Gas Examiners, the Appeals Board of Plumbing, the Appeals Board of Property Standards, the Appeals Board of Zoning, the Sexually Oriented Business Licensing Board. To ensure the public trust, each board meets monthly, and all sessions are open to the public so that all official business is conducted in an open and transparent atmosphere. The individual responsible for the efficient and effective day-to-day operations of the Codes Administration is Terry Cobb. Mr. Cobb was appointed Director of Codes Administration by former Mayor Bill Boner in 1990.
We're organized into 4 major operating divisions in the Codes Department, and each of those divisions is headed up by a very qualified, very experienced, knowledgeable individual. I'm fortunate in that regard. In that I have a person heading up each division that knows exactly what the job is and knows exactly how to get it done. My job is to support them and to make sure that they've got the resources and the support necessary to accomplish that task, and that I communicate that to them and they communicate it on throughout their division. Roy Jones heads up our administrative division. Roy is a licensed CPA with a law degree. He knows the administrative process. Sonny West, who heads up zoning and permits, thought to be one of the foremost authorities maybe in the state on land use and zoning. Manley Biggers, who heads up construction, inspections, and plan review, is a licensed structural engineer. Bill Penn, who heads up our property standards division, has a master's degree in public administration. He was formerly the assistant director of the Chattanooga Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. So that's my immediate staff, and beyond that, I've got 2 administrative assistants who help me tremendously, with Karen West, who handles primarily for me Metro Council contacts and keeps them informed, and other elected officials who may have inquired of our department. And Billy Fields, who has just joined us as a special assistant on my staff. And Billy's focus is communications and community relations. So it's all about communications, and it's all about being in touch with the community.
As Director of Codes Administration for the last 16 years, Terry Cobb has experience at setting priorities, as well as efficiently allocating his time to meet the demands of his daily schedule.
What I do each day varies from day to day, but it's about business planning, it's about managing the operations of the department, it's about supporting the operating divisions of the department, it's about accomplishing our goals. I think sometimes I spend a great deal of time in meetings and on the phone and answering emails, and I spend a great deal of time having conversations, but all of those are aimed at accomplishing the business of the department.
The Director of Codes Administration, like any department head, is held accountable for all that takes place in his department. However, for Terry Cobb, the health, safety, and welfare of the public remains his greatest responsibility.
The way I address that is through the administration and enforcement of codes that apply to buildings as they are constructed or as they're remodeled or added to. It's to build in safety systems in our buildings to protect our citizens and occupants of buildings, whether it's the home they live in or their place of work or an assembly occupancy where they go for entertainment. It's to make sure that they're safe in all of those structures.
The Department of Codes Administration often thinks of itself as the other public safety agency because of the responsibility it bears in guaranteeing the safety of the built environment for public use.
I think I coined the phrase that we were the other public safety agency, and I did that initially. One thought I had was that everything that government seems to want to focus highest priority on is public education and public safety, and then everything else. But this department truly is involved in public safety, in that everything we do every day here has to do with the safety of the occupants of the buildings in Nashville, in which our citizens, live and work and play and worship. That those buildings, that the safety systems be constructed in those buildings when they're built, and that they are there for them passively from then on.
Cobb is quick to point out the tremendous progress that has been made in codes enforcement in Nashville, as well as in the rest of the country, when compared to similar tragedies throughout the world.
Periodically, I will come to this epiphany. That is, an example is in late December of 2003, there was an earthquake in California, and I think it was a 6.5 magnitude quake. And there were somewhere around a dozen people lost their lives in that quake in Central California. 4 days later, I was reading, it was the day after Christmas. 4 days later, there was a 6.5 quake in Iran that killed over 40,000 people. And the difference between, because the areas seismic-wise are very much the same. The difference was in the quality of construction in the United States versus the quality of construction in Iran. It was that we have in this country adopted codes, and we enforce those codes, and we inspect to assure compliance with those building safety standards. And in Iran, they don't. And the difference was a difference between losing a dozen lives and losing 40,000 lives. Now that's the epiphany.
Because building construction and environmental safety have become quite common in our everyday lives, the public tends to take this for granted. For Terry Cobb, this underscores a continuous record of achievement that we can all be proud of.
I had the opportunity a few years ago to attend a neighborhood meeting in Madison with our fire chief at that time, Buck Dozier. And during the night, Chief Dozier's remarks came first, and he pointed out that each year we have fewer and fewer fires, and each year we have fewer and fewer fire fatalities. And he went on to say, and the reason is codes. What Chief Dozier meant was building codes, fire codes, electrical codes all work together to provide for the safety of the occupants of the building, to reduce the risk of a fire event, to reduce the number of fires, and then to provide safe exits and protect those people in the building or structure and give them a safe egress from the building in the event of a fire. And because we do all of that on the front end, we've reduced the number of fires and the risk of fire fatalities before a fire should ever occur.
When Cobb was appointed as Director of Codes in 1990, the department issued $500 million worth of building permits. Since then, the demand for building permits has increased by 400%. And in 2006, the department issued a record $2 billion worth of permits. What is even more remarkable is that over the last 17 years, while Nashville's economy has continued to grow, the number of employees necessary for the successful day-in, day-out operation of the Codes Department has remained unchanged.
As I look back, is to deal with the growth of this city and the increasing demand for permits and the growth in construction that has taken place, and to deal with that without increasing the resources significantly. To do that day to day, and each day or each year to be a little bit more efficient, a little bit more effective, to get a little bit more out of the resources that are entrusted to you, That's been a great challenge throughout my time with the codes department. The challenge is just to get up each morning and make the trains run on time.
As an assistant director of administration, Roy Jones is involved with the organizational structure of the codes department in the areas of personnel and budget. He has 10 years experience in public accounting.
We have approximately 100 different employees in the department, and also in 1990, for the past 16 years, we've had roughly the same number of people. And the thing that makes that so important, I guess, is that we are doing almost double the business that we were. Construction in Nashville has been gone almost two and a half times since that period. And so we're operating with the same number of people. Approximately 60% of our people, our employees, are inspectors. They're actually out day by day, usually 3/4 of the day, actually inspecting pieces of property, making sure they're in code compliance and zoning compliance and all that. And the other inspectors are the ones that are out actually on the job sites, taking a look at the buildings, inspecting for building codes, inspecting for electrical compliance, plumbing compliance, gas mechanical. We also have another approximately 25% of the department are in-house that are issuing permits, building permits, issuing land use permits. They're working in the zoning area. They also do plan review. So that only leaves around 15% of our department that handles the administrative and clerical. So we're very proactive. The majority of our budget, about 80% of it, used for salaries and fringe benefits, which only leaves around 20% to take care of everything else. And in that other 20%, we're covering, computers and cars and office supplies and, everything else that we have to do. So we're very, it's very structured that way as far as the budget, being the salaries and personnel people.
Like Metro Water Services, the Department of Codes and Building Safety is a revenue-generating agency of metropolitan government. The revenue it takes in is sent directly to the city's general fund.
Revenues in the department have always exceeded expenditures. We're one of the departments in the government that actually produce more revenues than we spend. The money, the excess money, goes into the general fund for use in the government as the council and the mayor see fit. As far as purchasing is concerned, we're on the Metro procurement system. We use the procurement cards largely as much as we can. We're trying to get more and more into that because it saves paperwork and it's faster, and Metro is opting to go that way. Most of our managers, top-level managers, have the procurement cards and they're making the day-to-day purchases. We are, as all Metro is, we're trying to do as much as we can with women-owned and minority-owned businesses.
One of the daily responsibilities of Roy Jones is to oversee the contract licensing process. This procedure makes it possible for local contractors to take part in construction projects.
This administrative office, does the licensing for almost any kind of what we call trade contractors in Nashville. That would be the plumbers, be the electricians, gas mechanical people. We register and license the master plumbers, journeyman plumbers, apprentice plumbers, same thing, master electricians, low voltage contractors, alarm contractors, septic tank and overflow, that type, the ones that would come here.
Over the years, the department's ability to increase productivity without increasing expenditures has resulted in the creation of a purpose-driven workforce eager to serve the public.
We take pride in this department not, coming back to the council and asking for, more money. In other words, we, Mr. Cobb, our director, and myself, we make a conscious effort to whatever when the mayor proposes a budget, then we, whatever that is, we're behind it 100%, and we just make do. And sometimes certain programs, suffer to a certain extent. And there's been a shift in the emphasis with the current administration into the neighborhoods, as most everybody knows. And we've had to shift people from one area to another to complement that. But that's been done. We've handled it very well, and we just try to make those adjustments ourselves.
Along with Nashville's sustained economic growth, the advances being made in the area of technology, will allow the Codes Administration the opportunity to continue to offer consistent and high-quality customer service to the Nashville public.
When I first came out of college, we were doing everything by the 10 key, and there were not computers. I mean, computers were just getting going. And the first response I had to a computer was actually inputting data into a piece of paper, basically sending it off to a company. The company would actually run it through their computer, and then the tax return would be produced. Well, since that time, you know, all accountants now do, they got the electronic filing, the e-filing, and all that. And I think the same thing has occurred in the government. Now we've got desktops, we've got laptops, and we're able to access the net and do a lot of research that way. The system that we've got now allows us, or will allow the citizen to be able to get online and to check progress about where their permit is, where their inspection is. They'll be able to actually get on the web and actually do credit card transactions through that system, and that's something that's coming on very soon, and that'll hopefully be a lot faster and a lot easier for them. And of course, the internet being up 24/7, they have instant access to it and can do work, whenever they need to, whether we're actually physically open during that time or not.
Starting in 2002, the Purcell administration began implementing a new management-based program throughout metropolitan government called Results Matter. The goal of Results Matter is to make government more accountable and responsive to the needs of the Nashville community. Roy Jones is the chief facilitator for this program in Codes Administration.
The Results Matter initiative that the administration decided a couple of years ago to initiate here in Metro has been a very strong part of that, of holding the employees accountable and generating good customer service. I think the administrator made a decision to try to treat the government more like, not necessarily like a business, but make it more responsive to the average citizen. And the Results Matter, as I said, wants to do that in the sense that it holds Codes employees, as all Metro employees, accountable. There are specific methods and specific performance measures that they have to meet. Each person in our department, knows what they're supposed to do, and they're held accountable for it. And then the idea of becoming more customer friendly as far as the citizens being able to access Metro government eventually through a website as far as our department is concerned with our new computer system, or being able to come in and get a permit within a reasonable amount of time and get an inspection done within a reasonable amount of time, and get the work in and get the work out.
The Results Matter initiative has provided the impetus for the Department of Codes to begin the process of implementing new long-term strategic goals. They are: 1, to improve the ability of Nashville citizens to communicate with and access information provided by the Department of Codes; 2, to provide cleaner and safer neighborhoods throughout Nashville; 3, to increase the ability of Codes to respond in a timely manner to permit applications and inspections.
Part of being responsive, or part of the Results Matter initiative, and being responsive and proactive to the citizens of Nashville, we have some strategic goals that the department has adopted. We're to provide the improved ability to communicate and to access information. The citizens, anybody in the county will be able to do that. We'd like to say the new computer system's up. We're going online with that situation here very soon, and so that'll be improved there. Another one of our goals is to increase the response time for someone to come in and to get a permit, or someone to get the inspection done. When Nashville is booming so much and you've got all this construction going on, it takes time and money for a contractor to come in here and have to wait on getting an inspection, because he's got another crew ready to go as soon as that concrete is poured, and as soon as the building is framed, or whatever, the house or whatever it happens to be is framed, then they've got another crew there. So if we can get out and get that part taken care of, get that inspection done as quick as we can, that allows them for that next crew to come in and they continue building, and then they can save money that way. So those are some of our strategic goals, to try to improve our services so that we're giving the customer, the citizen of Nashville, faster and better service.
Hello? As zoning administrator, the responsibilities of Sonny West are numerous. First and foremost, he must administer and enforce the provisions of the Metro Zoning Code. This is accomplished by site plan review, court enforcement, consultation with the public, including contractors, property owners, and engineers. His division is responsible for keeping records for the department. He provides staff for the Board of Zoning Appeals, and he oversees the daily issuance of permits. The Division of Zoning Codes is made up of 20 employees, 4 of which are supervisors of the various components of the zoning division. Rick Shepard is the zoning examination chief and has been with Metro Codes for 20 years. He has 5 employees to whom he delegates responsibility on a daily basis. Patty Brown is the customer service manager and coordinates all permit issuance in the department. Stefan Kivett is the Metro Urban Forester. He is responsible for the enforcement of all the landscaping provisions of the zoning code, as well as the tree ordinance. Linda Borum is in charge of the document imaging division. It is her responsibility to maintain and digitize all records for the department. In addition, she is secretary of the Zoning Appeals Board, as well as the secretary of the Sexually Oriented Business Licensing Board. It is the responsibility of the Zoning Administrators Division to issue electrical, plumbing, building, and mechanical permits for Nashville and Davidson County. The Zoning Administration issues on average 10,000 plus building permits a year, along with 60,000 trade permits. But where does that process of issuing permits begin?
The zoning examination is the first thing that happens. It is an examination, and it's kind of a strange word to be using, but the developer, the applicant for the building permit, comes into the office and sits down with an examiner who then starts looking at the plans that have been submitted by the applicant. Generally, the first thing is determined is, does the use comply with the zoning that's on the property? If not, the process stops right there, and the applicant may need to go get a zone change, for instance. Or he may need to go subdivide his property.
A lot of what we deal with on a daily basis, or I personally deal with on a daily basis, is talking with our customers, whether it be a business person or a homeowner, about a particular ruling that they may need on something that they're trying to do. Is typically a business person might call and say, "I've got a client that wants to occupy a building for this. Is that permitted on this particular property?" Or a homeowner may call and say, "I'd like to build a garage. Where can I actually build that garage?" So these are the type questions that we feel, not only myself, but all of us feel on a daily basis up here, in addition to processing the permit work.
After the examination, the contractor submits a building permit.
The flow of permit issuance starts basically, at least 95% of the time, with a building permit application. And that's made here in my department with Rick Shepard. Has 5 employees that work under him.
We are the front line. Any building permit that's applied for in this department, my division processes, and in addition examines the permits for compliance with all of the zoning codes, and also determine which departments are required to review the application before we actually issue the building permit.
They actually take the application, do a site plan review, and those people start the ball rolling, if you would, for a building permit. Track any other agency that is involved in a piece of property. And it goes through the other agencies, comes back to codes for a final sign-off and actual issuance. Once the building permit gets issued, then the trade contractors, the plumbing, electrical, mechanical contractors, from that point can start obtaining their permits for this particular job. So it's depending on the complexity of the job, the size of it, could take anywhere from building permit could take anywhere from 30 minutes to obtain for a residential permit to several weeks for a large commercial project.
Many may wonder, why does one need to apply for a permit, especially if the applicant is the owner of the property?
The permits are necessary to ensure primarily that the adopted codes have been followed, whether it be the zoning code as far as the use goes, the building, plumbing, electrical, mechanical codes as far as building safety. That's done to ensure that the ultimate consumer, John Q. public taxpayer, gets the product that they are entitled to, if you would, under the codes that have been adopted by the council. They're to protect life safety for sure on the building end of it. The zoning end of it is to protect property values, neighboring property values in the area, to determine that uses are compatible with each other.
As zoning administrator, what does Sonny West believe is his greatest responsibility?
I would like to think it's to treat everybody fair and impartial. That's exactly what I've strived to do since I've been here. When you're dealing with a person's property, they're entitled to due process, and I think that's very important. That my people, especially, give everybody their due process in obtaining permits or information even on zoning.
Emphasizing the need to treat all customers the same, as underscored by the Results Matter initiative, the trend towards improved customer service has taken on a greater meaning throughout metropolitan Nashville government.
Terry Cobb certainly has made customer service a real priority in this department, and we have too, because we deal directly with the public every day.
We represent to people what their government is to them, so it's important to us that we put on a face that lets them know that they're welcome to be here and that we appreciate them being here and that their problems are our problems. Many people come here with wanting to do things and find out that the plans aren't going to work in accordance with the current laws, and are very happy when we sit down and try to help them find a solution to what they're wanting to do. So our customers are very important to us. When Terry Cobb became director of this department, I once heard him say, "How can you be too nice to a customer?" And that attitude runs throughout this department, not just in my division, but it's a feeling, I think, throughout the department, that we see our people as customers and do the best we can to make them glad that they're doing business with us.
Manley Biggers began his career at Codes Administration in 1983 as a building inspector. After serving only 3 months as an inspector, he was transferred to Plans Examination. In 1984, Biggers was promoted to Plans Chief, and his ascension was completed in 1989 when he was appointed to his current position as Assistant Director of Construction and Plans Review. One of the reasons Manley Biggers is able to manage a workforce of this size is his experience in Codes Administration prior to being promoted to Director of Construction and Plans Review.
I think it helps if you're a supervisor to actually have had experience in doing at least some of the jobs that you're supervising. As a building inspector, their duties are similar to that of plumbing, electrical, and mechanical, other than they're enforcing different codes, but the processes are pretty much the same. So I know what they do, and I know how they do it, and same is true with Plans Examination. I've done the job, I know how to do the job, so that always helps to know that. You know the issues they deal with and the problems they have in Plans Examination.
Assisting Manley Biggers in the daily operations of this division is Byron Hall, Chief Building Inspector, and Wade Hill, Chief of Plans Examination. Chief Inspector Hall manages 12 building inspectors, 7 residential and 5 commercial. It is the responsibility of these inspectors to make sure that all buildings in Nashville are safe places to live and work.
I have 12 building inspectors, 7 residential and 5 commercial inspectors, and we're responsible for all the building inspections in Davidson County. We deal with mainly 2 types of clients, as contractors and homeowners. Our biggest differences there is generally the contractors are a little more knowledgeable of the code requirements and things that are going to be required of them during the process of a job, where homeowners may be doing repairs or small additions to to their own home and not have the opportunity to deal with the codes department as frequently as contractors. We sometimes spend a little more time with homeowners making sure that they know the requirements of the code, where they can where they can have a project completed that's in compliance.
Knowledge of and experience in the inspection process is crucial to guaranteeing that a building or home is safe enough for human habitation. There are 3 steps in the inspection process: 1, fitting; 2, framing; and the 3rd and final step, which ensures that all life safety features of a building are in place. But what is the difference between residential and commercial inspections?
Generally, residential is wood framed, and you have very little concrete. You have concrete basement floors and garage floors, things of this nature's footings. In commercial, you end up with several more inspections during the course of a project, just due to the physical size of the structures are bigger. If you take a high rise, you may have 2 or 3 framing inspections on each floor of this high rise, as opposed to 1 framing inspection for a residential structure. Most of your commercial buildings end up being structural steel and concrete. We have engineered drawings to follow for the structural steel. We end up dealing with the only time that there's an architectural drawing required for a residential project is if the project exceeds 5,000 square feet. Another difference is all commercial buildings are required to have handicap accessibility, and we're to follow the ADA requirements, and this is something that's not normally seen in a residential structure.
The second major component of the Construction and Inspection Division is plans examination. Wade Hill oversees this vital area.
This is Wade up at Metro Codes.
He is a licensed architect for the state of Tennessee and has been with Codes for 5 years. It is the duty of the plans examiner, when reviewing a blueprint, to make sure that certain requirements are met concerning zoning and safety features.
When someone brings in a set of drawings for us to review for permit, the first thing we look for is to be sure that the drawings accurately describe the work that's going to be done. That's so our inspectors in the field will know what they'll be looking at ahead of time. These drawings need to show the scope of the work, how that relates to all the codes that we've adopted here in Nashville for life safety, construction type, heights and areas. They also, if required by state law, need to be stamped by licensed architects.
A trend that continues to characterize the new urbanism movement in Nashville over the last 25 years has been the renovation and rehabilitation of older historical homes and buildings. In the early 1980s, the Metro Department of Codes and Building Safety established the Rehab Committee to accommodate this growing trend that has become a vital component of civic design.
It's been around since the early 80s and been used, fairly frequently since the mid-80s, and a lot more so in the last 6 or 7 years. It's made up of a representative of the fire marshal's office, usually Tony Wallace, our plans chief, Wade Hill, and myself, and on occasion Byron Hall, our building inspection chief. And the way it works is someone comes in and basically presents to us a proposal of converting a building to this new use. And what we look at, and generally most older buildings are not going to comply with the newer codes. Sometimes there's a problem with the construction type. You couldn't build it of that type today for the use you're proposing. There might be an issue with stairs and the height of the building. I mean, there's just a number of things that could come into play, and so we try to use, one, to apply common sense to it, but the goal is to achieve a building that we feel meets the safety requirements of the code, but maybe not specifically the way the code might have laid it out. And once we come to agreement with the architect developer, then they'll present to us a document outlining the discussion, what's been agreed to, and then all of us will sign it. And that basically is the rehab document that is a record of why certain things are being allowed to remain that perhaps don't fully comply with today's code. But generally we try to find some offsetting requirement that maybe they aren't required to do that they will do, that makes it a safe building, because we would not do it if we didn't feel we were getting safe buildings.
With 2006 being a record year for permit application in Nashville and Davidson County, how has this affected the Plans and Examination Division of Metro Codes?
Fiscal year, I think ending June 30th, I think we did about 4,400 plan reviews, something like 33,000 building inspections, 40,000 electrical inspections, 27,000 plumbing inspections, and 22,000 mechanical inspections, something like 122,000 inspections done by the staff.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
And you don't want to leave out work that goes to make those inspections go, done by the customer service reps, because they are entering all those inspection requests and results and writing the letters, so it's a massive load on them also.
Okay, hold on.
As the building surge in Nashville continues unabated, the importance of safety continues to be the #1 priority.
I think probably the most important role, responsibility that we have as inspectors is the life safety features that we make sure that are in the buildings that we inspect, homes as well as commercial structures.
The training levels, certification levels have been greatly increased over the years. When I first came here, we really didn't have anything other than your experience that you had in the field, and now we're required to obtain certain certifications to get the job, and also if you're in building inspections or plans review, those types of fields, you're required to be a state licensed building inspector, which means you have to have so many hours of training each year in order to maintain that certification.
I think my biggest responsibility here, being the Chief Plans Examiner for Metro, is to make sure that our department has credibility with the design community here in Nashville and the general public. We need to treat every project, be it small or large, with the same interest and enthusiasm, and be sure that every set of drawings that go out of here after review are compliant with the codes and everybody can trust us.
The overriding, I think, function or responsibility of it all is that we provide safe buildings for the people of Nashville, Davidson County to work in and to live in and to use.
In 2001, the Metro Codes and Housing Administration created the Property Standards and Zoning Inspection Division. The department's Housing and Inspection Division and the Zoning Inspection Division were combined, creating the Property Standards Division. Property Standards Division is unique in that it deals with residential and commercial property that is already in existence. It also deals with zoning issues. Why was it necessary to create a Property Standards Division within the Department of Codes? And what kind of changes are taking place in the evolution of Codes administration that made this necessary?
What we found as a result of a management study and just from our own experience was that the types of things that the Property Standards Division deals with are issues that directly impact the quality of life of our customers, the citizens here in Davidson County. And the scope of what we do is large enough to where it really warranted a separate division to be created so that, one, it would attain the appropriate level of importance within the organizational structure of the Codes Department, and also to give it more credibility out there in the community that we serve. We deal almost exclusively with citizens and neighborhood organizations, civic organizations in dealing with issues that impact the quality of life in Nashville's neighborhoods. So by setting us apart, we have equal footing with the other departments, divisions rather, within the department, and also lends credibility and importance to the thing that we are doing. And of course, our mayor is a very neighborhoods-oriented mayor, so neighborhood issues have become extremely important, and so our ability to deal with those, to address those, also factors in to our reorganization.
The Property Standards Division is made up of 3 parts: inspection teams, customer service, and the flex team. Critical to the operation of the Property Standards Division is the customer service component.
The customer service component is a critical piece into our operation, in that that's where those folk initially receive the request for service, and that's where our initial response is going to occur, in that we take the information in, make sure that it is input into our request for service system, and then gets out to the inspector for the subsequent inspection. Our third section that we have is our flex team. Now, the flex team, they're not assigned an area. They are allowed to go all over Davidson County to deal with issues that may come up. They are part of our proactive code enforcement program in that we deal with them with the Neighborhood Response Team Initiative, where we look at specific geographic areas, audits that neighborhood groups may turn into us or request from us. They'll go out and make those inspections. And anything special that comes up, we deal with a number of little issues. Signs is an issue that we've dealt with, where we'll use the flex team to deal with signage. We've also used the flex team to deal with illegal car lots and junkyards, where we focus specifically on those along the major thoroughfares. So that flex team gives us the capability to vary what it is we do outside of the norm and to be able to really kind of focus in on things that are going to be very, very important to neighborhoods.
The foundation of the Property Standards Division is the Property Standards Code. What is the purpose of this code?
The Property Standards Code deals with the specific conditions of a particular piece of property, the building and the land around it, and that it requires that both of those items and any accessories be properly maintained. Building permits may come into play in the Property Standards Division when someone needs to renovate or repair a structure. A lot of times we will get called out to make an inspection because a house or a commercial building is dilapidated. If we find that it's dilapidated, then what will happen is we will cause that owner to repair the structure. If the repairs are beyond the scope of do-it-yourself, minor type items, then a permit has to be taken out in order to make sure that the work is being done by a competent individual and that inspections are scheduled along the way to make sure that those repairs are in line with the international code which we've adopted.
Providing support for the efficient daily operation of the Property Standards Division are Ronnie Mitchell and Jeff Castleberry, Property Standards Inspectors for the Codes Administration.
Many times we get requests or complaints where people have abandoned cars in their yard. They've got junk, trash, debris in their yards. And normally what we try to do is go out again and make a good thorough investigation, make good notes, notify them of the condition of their property, notify them as to why they're in violation. We try to cite for them the particular code that applies to that violation, and we give them 10, 15, 20, sometimes 30 days to bring the property in compliance.
The most common misconception I've come across in my 26 years with Metro government concerning the code and the public is simply the people that we're under notice with are under the impression that because it's their property, they can do as they please with it. And some folks don't understand that nowadays, based on the way the city's grown, the population trends, the fact that we have to protect health welfare and things of that nature, that you just can't allow an individual to conduct himself as he would like on his property.
Another goal of the Property Standards Division is to make sure that the use of the property within a neighborhood is consistent with the zoning regulations adopted for that area.
Unlike the rest of the division that deals with things that are going to be built or perhaps in the zoning end may deal with a use or a change of use, we deal specifically, almost primarily, with things as they exist, as we see them, and their condition. You know, we're concerned with the conditions of properties and how they're maintained, not just the primary structure, but the yard area or the land around the structure and any accessory structures that may be involved. All of these inspections have been made.
Bill Penn sees his role as that of a facilitator between the community and its concerns, and the Department of Codes and its ability to address those concerns.
I'm that conduit through which their needs can come into this department, to this division, and then I make sure that the appropriate resources are available so that my inspection team can provide that product, that service that the customer is looking for, and that is to identify a violation and to cause it to be corrected. Now, we consider ourselves to be the kinder, gentler Codes Department in that we're not looking to throw folks in jail or to make life difficult for the little old ladies who may not be able to immediately make a correction that we may find. we try to work with and direct resources as are needed to an individual in order to make sure that their property gets corrected, the violation gets corrected. As long as people, and that's the kind of the thing I want our customers to understand, if you ever get a letter from codes, the first thing one should do is to pick up that phone and call so that we can coordinate the effort to correct the violation. There's no reason in my mind that someone should end up in environmental court. The only reason people end up in environmental court, generally speaking, is that they fail to pick up the phone and work out the details necessary to correct the violation.